Hey everyone, welcome back to WeldFabWorld. I'm really glad you're here today because we're diving into one of the most important topics in the entire welding and fabrication world, ASME Section IX. Now, I get it. When someone says, ASME Section IX, a lot of people's eyes glaze over. It sounds like a legal document. It sounds complicated, and if you've ever tried to read it for the first time, it is a lot to take in. But here's the thing. If you work in pressure vessel fabrication, oil and gas, power generation, or petrochemicals, this code is not optional. It is the law of the land for welding qualification. And the good news is, once you understand the structure of it, everything clicks into place. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what Part QG is, what Part QW covers, and how the WPS, PQR, and WPQ all fit together. If this is useful, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Let's get into it. Today's video is focused on two specific parts of ASME Section IX. Part QG, which covers general requirements, and Part QW, which covers welding. There's also a Part QB for brazing, but we're not touching that today. We're sticking to welding. Here's what we're covering: the general rules in QG, then the three key documents in QW, WPS, PQR, and WPQ, then essential variables, and the P, F, and a numbering system. Let's go. ASME Section IX is part of the ASME Boiler and Pressure Vessel Code, the BPVC. And its job is to govern the qualification of welding procedures and the performance of welders. In plain English, it answers two questions. 1. Does this welding process produce acceptable welds? That's procedure qualification. 2. Can this welder produce acceptable welds? That's performance qualification. Section IX has three parts. Part QG, general requirements, is the foundation. Part QW, welding, is where your WPS, PQR, and WPQ live. And Part QB covers brazing, out of scope today. One critical point: ASME Section IX does not cover structural welding. If you're doing structural steel under ASD 1.1, that's a completely different code. Section IX is exclusively for pressure-containing applications. It is mandatory for ASME U stamp fabricators, National Board R stamp repairs, and any pressure vessel work where the construction code references ASME BPVC. Part QG is the rulebook. Before you talk procedures and welder tests, understand these foundations. QG 100, Scope. This code applies to any fabricator under ASME Section I, IV, 8, or 12. If your vessel is built to Section 8 Division 1, which covers the majority of unfired pressure vessels, Section IX applies to every single weld you make. QG 105, Definitions. ASME is very precise with words. Procedure qualification proves the process works. Performance qualification proves the person can do it. The manufacturer or contractor is the entity legally responsible for the WPS and all qualification records. QG 106, Responsibility. This is a big one. The manufacturer must qualify all procedures themselves. Company A cannot adopt Company B's WPS and say, they already qualified this, so we're good. Nope. They must qualify it themselves, their own test, their own PQR, their own records. There is one partial exception for welder performance records from a previous employer, but procedure qualification, never. QG 109, Retesting. If a test fails, you can retest immediately with two additional specimens of the same type, and both must pass. If a welder fails their performance test, they may retest only after additional practice or training. Document that practice. Auditors will ask. These three documents are the heart of Part QW. Know them cold. WPS, Welding Procedure Specification. The WPS is your instruction document. It tells the welder how to make the weld, what process, what base metal group, what filler metal, what position, what preheat, what PWHT, what heat input range. Think of it like a recipe. The WPS must be written before production welding begins and must be available to the welder at the workstation. PQR, Procedure Qualification Record. The PQR is the evidence behind the WPS. It records what values were actually used during the test weld, and what the test results were. Critical point: the PQR cannot be altered after recording. It is a permanent legal document. If it's wrong, you don't white it out, you do a new test. A single PQR can support multiple WPS documents, provided the WPS variables fall within the qualified ranges. WPQ, Welder Performance Qualification. The WPQ qualifies the person, not the procedure. It's specific to process, position, thickness range, and filler metal group. And it expires after 6 months of not using that process. More on that in a moment. The flow is: right WPS right pointing arrow weld test coupon right pointing arrow record actual data on PQR right pointing arrow PQR supports the WPS right pointing arrow welder qualifies separately via their own test documented on the WPQ. This is where most costly mistakes happen in the field. Let's talk variables. Every welding variable in ASME is classified as essential, supplementary essential, or non-essential. What matters is this: change an essential variable, and you must re-qualify. New test weld, new mechanical testing, new PQR. You cannot just revise the WPS and keep going. Essential variables require a new PQR. Change in P number of the base metal, carbon steel to stainless, for example. Change in F number of the filler metal, E7018 to E6010 is a classic one. Change in A number, weld metal chemistry classification. Change in welding process, SMAW to GTAW, for instance. Base metal thickness exceeding the qualified range. Deleting PWHT when it was part of the original qualification. Changing current type or polarity, AC to DC, or changing polarity. Supplementary essential variables only kick in when notch toughness is required by the construction code, meaning Charpy impact testing is specified. Then changes in heat input, preheat, interpass temperature, and welding direction can all trigger requalification. Non-essential variables. You can change these with just a WPS revision. No new test needed. Joint design, backing type, cleaning method, travel speed, within reason. Pro tip: before making any change to a WPS, spend 5 minutes checking if that variable is essential or not. That 5-minute check can save you from a very expensive retest. ASME uses a numbering system to group materials and consumables. Once you understand it, the code becomes much more readable. P numbers group base metals with similar weldability into families. The big benefit: qualify one material in a P number group, and you've qualified all materials in that group. The key ones: P1, carbon steels, SA 106 grade B, SA 516. The most common in pressure vessel work. P3, low alloy, 1/2 crossing, SA 387 grade 11. P4 to 1/4 crossing steels, SA 387 grade 12. P5A, 2 1/4 crossing steels, SA 387 grade 22. Common in high temperature service. P-8, austenitic stainless, 304, 316 series. P10H, duplex stainless steel. So if you qualify with SA 106 grade B, P1, that same WPS covers SA 516 grade 70, also P1. No extra test. Huge time and cost saver. F numbers group filler metals by their usability characteristics, how they behave during welding. E6010 is F3. E7018 is F4. ER308L TIG wire is F6. Qualify with an E7018 and you're good for any other F4 electrode. Switch to E6010, that's F3, an essential variable, and you need a new PQR. A numbers classify filler metals by the chemistry of the deposited weld metal, what the weld metal composition is after solidification. A1 is carbon steel weld metal, A-8 is austenitic stainless. A change in a number is an essential variable. Always double check when switching fillers, especially in corrosion-resistant or high-alloy applications. Now let's talk about the welder's side, the WPQ. This is personal, it's about the individual skill of the person holding the electrode. How a welder gets qualified, QW 301. Step 1. The welder makes a test coupon using a specific process, position, base metal, and filler metal, following a qualified WPS. They can't freestyle it. Step 2. The coupon is tested. Guided bend tests or RT for most processes. Visual examination is always required first. Step 3. Record everything on the WPQ form. ASME's non-mandatory form QW 484 is what most companies use. Step 4. Tests pass. Welder is qualified within ASME's specified ranges. What does that test actually cover? This matters. Process. Qualified in SMAW does not mean qualified in GTAW. Separate test needed. Position. 1G flat test only qualifies flat and horizontal. The 6G fixed pipe test, 45-degree incline, qualifies all positions. It's the most powerful single welder test there is. Thickness. Maximum production thickness is double the test coupon thickness. Diameter. Test pipe OD determines minimum qualified pipe size in production. The 6-month rule, QW 322. If a welder does not use a specific process for 6 months, qualification for that process expires. The employer must maintain a continuity log for every single welder. This is the most overlooked requirement in the code. Don't let your welder's qualifications lapse silently. Also, if there is ever a specific reason to question a welder's ability, the QC manager or AI can require a retest. That's in the code. Let's look at the actual tests. 2 categories: procedure qualification tests and welder performance tests. Don't mix them up. PQR tests, proving the process works. Tension test QW 150, pull specimens across the weld in tension. Must equal or exceed base metal minimum UTS. Guided bend test QW 160, face, root, and side bends to 180 degrees. Any crack over 3 mm is a failure. Impact testing QW 170, Charpy V notch. Only required when notch toughness is specified by the construction code. Fillet weld test QW 180, macro etch cross-section. Checks geometry and fusion. Visual examination QW 194. Required on all test coupons before destructive testing. RT or UTQW 195. For P1 to P1 butt welds, can substitute for bend tests in certain conditions. WPQ tests, proving the welder can do it. Guided bend test, root and face bends. Most common. Radiographic test QW 191, common alternative to bends for pipe qualification. Visual examination QW 194, always required first. Fillet weld break test QW 180, for welders qualifying only in fillet welding. Key difference: WPQ tests do not include tension tests. You don't measure ultimate tensile strength when qualifying a welder. That's procedure qualification only. This slide is your cheat sheet. Screenshot it or download the presentation from the description. Let me run through the key rows quickly. WPS preparation, written before production welding. No exceptions. QW 200, PQR tensile, must equal or exceed base metal UTS. QW 153, bend test angle, 180 degrees for P1 carbon steel. QW 163, impact test temperature, specified by the construction code, not Section IX itself. QW 171, 6-month rule, process not used for 6 months, qualification expires. QW 322, 6G position, qualifies all positions. QW 303, thickness range, maximum qualified is double the coupon thickness for groove welds. QW 451, pre-qualified WPS, ASME does not allow it. This is a common confusion with ASD 1.1 which does. Under ASME, you must always have a PQR. QW 200.1. P1 to P1 RT alternative. You can use RT or UT instead of bend tests. QW 195. Record retention. WPS, PQR, WPQ must be kept by the manufacturer and made available for the AI or inspection body. QG 103. Screenshot that. It'll save you hours in audits. 1. Part QG sets the universal foundation rules for all qualification. Understand it first. 2. Part QW is where your WPS, PQR, and WPQ live. Know how they relate to each other. 3. Essential variables require requalification when changed. Always check before modifying a WPS. 4. P numbers group base metals. F numbers group filler metals. A numbers classify weld metal chemistry. Learn the system. 5. Welder qualification expires after 6 months without using a process. Keep continuity logs. 6. WPS, PQR, WPQ or legal documents. Keep them. The authorized inspector will ask for them. I genuinely hope this made ASME Section IX less intimidating, because it really is a logical document once you understand its structure. If you found this useful, leave a like. Subscribe for more content on WPS writing, PQR examples, welder qualification, and fabrication standards. Visit us at WeldFabWorld.com for downloadable resources. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, weld safe, and keep the standards high. Hey, if you're still here, thank you. Hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Over there I've got another video you'll love, and here's the full channel where all our welding content lives. See you there.